5, so we can get started. So, Anu, could you please do the invocation?
Yeah. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Thank you, Anu. Welcome back, everybody. My apologies for the confusion of the day because I got conflicting messages about the spring break. So then I thought, okay, we will have this week and give a break next week. Anyway, the recording is available on YouTube. Then I heard that some people have spring break today. So a little bit of confusion there. Apologies for that. So we will continue our discussion on Karma Yoga. Please try to get the full feeling of this chapter, because as I was explaining again and again, this chapter is where we get started with the spiritual practice. So let's take 10 minutes and try to understand the Karma Yoga through a different angle, because that's what I try to do every week, give the same idea in different languages so that we are clear with all the different aspects. And today we will cover the verses 25 to 27, right? So this is the 3 verses we try to cover every week. This week's verses are also very interesting. So as an introduction, when we look at Karma Yoga, we heard very clearly in this chapter that it's impossible for anybody to stop all the karmas. So as long as we live, as long as we are conscious, we have to do karma. And the definition of the karma is anything you do with a karana is karma. And what is a karana? The karana could be bahya karana, which is the external sense organs, or the antakarana, which is your mind, intellect, your individuality, and your chitta. So on a broader sense, mind and intellect, to simplify. So anything you do with your bahya karana or antakarana becomes karma. And it is impossible for anyone to stop these karmas. So once you establish the point that it is impossible to stop all the karma, people have a tendency to tag task as spiritual task, material task. And in this chapter, Krishna broke that notion. Krishna said, as long as you are living in this body, you have to do the karma. Then what is the problem with this karma? The problem is you are not able to make the right choice. What exactly is the action you should be performing? And even if you make the right choice, you're not able to execute that action properly with your full potential. That is the second problem. And the third problem is after the performance of the action, the result of that action is creating different moods in you. Think of this, right? Out of all the different possibilities in front of me, I'm struggling to pick the right action for me. Even if I pick the right action, I'm not able to execute that action to my fullest capacity. And the third thing is, once I get the result, I'm not able to maintain a graceful attitude to that result. This is the problem with the normal karmas. So if you resolve this problem, the same karma, which is a problem for you in the current state, can become a means for your liberation. Even for not only for your material goal, the same karma becomes a means for my spiritual goals also. That's why a simple technique by which the same karma which used to bind me earlier becomes a means for my liberation. And this is the change from the conventional karma to karma yoga. Is it clear? This is another way of explaining the karma yoga. You are not changing the karma. You are changing how to pick the right karma, how to execute the karma, and what would be my attitude towards the karma, the results of the karma. This is what is karma yoga. So if I don't follow the karma yoga, one more point, I didn't highlight this point in the previous classes, so just listen carefully. Typically, when I do any karma, let's say that I do an action. Any karmas I do, whether that karma is physical, verbal, or mental, the karma has its peculiar characteristics. That is called the binding nature of the karma, which is known as the karma bandha. So any karma will produce two types of results. One is called the drishtaphala and the adrishtaphala. We talked about this earlier. And whatever karma you do, it leaves a small impression in our mind. Suppose I start drinking a coffee. It leaves a small means I enjoy the taste of the coffee. I get the nutritions of the coffee. If there is something harm, my body get that. That is the drishtaphala. And adrishtaphala is I get a small impression in my mind. Somewhere in the mind, it just creates a small impression. And if I try to do that, that impressions becomes thickened. And over a period of time, what is going to happen? That impressions will become strong. And thereafterwards, without my knowledge, I will be prompted to do certain actions in this way. Nobody in the world is born as a drunkard. Most of our habits, we created that habits. Looking at social media, you got that habit by birth? Not at all. So we created that habit. So normally the karmas has a problem. What is that problem? It leaves an impression in me, and which is known as vasana. And that vasana will carry forward to the next birth also. So when you perform karma as karma yoga, the beauty is that this vasanas will not be created. That is the second point. Of course, the positive tendencies will be there, but no negative vasanas will be created. You will not have any binding attachment for the results of the action. So that is why the karma yoga is extremely important tool in our spiritual path. And when you define the karma yoga, you define the karma yoga as proper work with proper attitude. So what is proper work? You cannot do the tamasic actions, and you can do rajasic action. And Krishna brilliantly uses one word on these, the rajasic action. He said self-serving actions. Look at that word. So beautiful. When I work to pay my mortgage, what am I doing? He didn't call it as selfish actions. He said self-serving actions. And rajasic actions are self-serving actions. I'm not serving myself at the cost of others. Whereas tamasic actions is selfish actions, because I am doing and I'm doing it at the cost of the others. So rajasic actions are allowed. Apart from that, self-serving actions, I am fulfilling my agendas. My agendas take priority over the other people agenda. That's okay. But I'm not breaking any law. On top of that, on top of the self-serving actions, what am I instructed to do? I am instructed to do
Sattvic actions.
Swatik actions. And what is that Swatik actions? Pancha Mahayajna, 5 different dimensions of serving others. So that is your Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, Manushya Yajna, Brahma Yajna. So when I do the self-serving actions along with this sattvic actions, which is for other people, that becomes the proper actions. But is the performance of proper actions alone is going to make some actions as karma yoga? No. That becomes you're following dharma. You're not violating any dharma. To become that, to perform that action in the karma yoga spirit, proper action needs to be performed. What is that one phrase we need to use there?
With proper attitude.
Exactly. Proper attitude. And when we talk about that proper attitude, two things we need to keep in mind. What are they?
Ishwararpana buddhi.
Exactly.
Prasada
Prasada buddhi. Exactly. When you do these two together, the karma becomes karma yoga. It is going to create that type of impression, which is going to keep me to dharma, which is going to help me to live in that spiritual progress, to help me to push through the spiritual path. And one of the challenge, some people were messaging me also offline. It's hard to keep that attitude. Even if I try to keep that proper work, maintaining that karma yoga bhavana, the proper attitude seems to be difficult. So what is the simplest way to do that? The simplest way to do that proper attitude is, I understand that self-serving karmas, it is difficult. But remember, every week you are doing that Pancha Mahayajna. To that Pancha Mahayajna, you can easily bring this attitude. When I try to serve a human being, like when I sponsor the education of a child, I'm sponsoring it not to show that Rajesh is great, but I am doing it as a service to that universal intelligence, which is supporting me every moment. Remember what we discussed in the last week? What Krishna said? If I stay quiet for a moment, right? What is going to happen? Chaos. So I translated that religious language into the modern world. If the heart decide that I'm going to take a break for 5 minutes, what is going to happen? If my digestive system, what is that?
You're finished.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, heart taking a break for 5 minutes, you're not there anymore.
Exactly. If your digestive system think that, okay, next 20 days, let me go for a vacation. Gone.
Yeah.
There is a beautiful book called A Brief Glimpses of the Human Body by Dr. Shirley Tullis. Just read it. What we taken for granted is something so big. So how your different systems work and what is your defense mechanism of your body. There is another book called Eat to Beat. That's also a beautiful book. If you read the first portion of that book, I'll post the book's name in the group. I forgot the exact name. The author's name, it is called Eat to Beat. The first portion of that book, you will be wondered how the defense system of our body is formulated, how vigilant they are, how certain things work the way it work. So if that universal intelligence takes a simple change in the process, it's a chaos. And we talked about different things, right? If the atoms, if the electrons thinks that, okay, let me increase my velocity. We talked about that, right? What is going to happen? Collapse, because the whole thing will get out of the nucleus. And if the planet Earth thinks that, okay, I'm going to go a little bit slower, what is going to happen? The whole thing will go inside the sun. And if the sun decides, okay, I'm going to reduce my luminosity by certain thing, what is going to happen? Complete mess. So just close your eyes and think for a moment. The very fact that I'm living and my system is functioning, that itself shows that so many laws are executed precisely around me, and something is properly, being managers and technology leaders and everything. Without proper governance, do you think that a system will go well? Whether it is a presidential administration, or whether it is a corporate administration, or whether it is a military administration, do you think that without governance, a system is going to perform exactly like it is? So much of governance and intelligence is put together. The universe is functioning. So when I try to help somebody, when I try to plant a tree, when I try to pray to a higher being, when I try to take care of my family, it's a gratitude born out of that sensitivity. And what is that sensitivity? Something is protecting me. Something is making sure that the whole harmony in the universe is ensured. So that sensitivity will trigger a thanksgiving. And this yajna is the thanksgiving. This Panchamaha yajna is the true thanksgiving, or the real thanksgiving to that universal intelligence which is protecting me. So we spent a lot of time last week understanding the meaning of what Krishna said. It's simple religious way. You can say that if the God closes his eyes, the universe will collapse. That's very easy to say. But bringing that abstract idea in front of our eyesights, when you see that, when you're sensitive to that universal intelligence, you cannot but express your thanks. And that is what is the Ishwararpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi. And you can easily bring that Ishwararpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi into these Panchamahayajnas. So begin there. And as we talked again today morning, when you do that 80-20, you take that 80-20 rule, that 20% of that change is going to make a lot of change. And eventually you will be able to extend that to your rajasic action or the self-serving actions. So starting point is this. Any questions?
Yeah, Rajesh, I was just wondering that why is it difficult to bring the proper attitude, Ishwar Arpana Buddhi and Prasad Buddhi, into Rajasic actions, into self-serving actions?
Because your agenda comes to the picture. So when you go to work, you are anxious also. Means I'm not saying that you're anxious like that, but this job is extremely dependent for your survival. That's what you're understanding right now. So it will be very difficult for you to bring that Ishwararpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi into that action in the beginning stages. If you can do that.
Yeah, I was thinking that, it's just a matter of realization to realize that that job is also there because of God.
Absolutely. Anandji, I agree. What I'm saying is that theoretically you will understand that. But while you perform a complex work situation, it'll be difficult for you to bring that initially. If you are able to bring that, well and good. But I'm saying, I'm just talking from my experience. It was very difficult for me to apply this into the self-serving activities initially. I see improvement. I'm not at there yet, but I'm talking from my experience. But I found it is very easy to apply in Swatik actions. So try it.
So one question,
Rajesh, just one. Sorry.
Yeah. So sorry, real quick question. There is no conflict of interest between a self-serving action and having an attitude of offering that action to, having Ishwar Arpana Buddhi in that action. Is there, like, in the sense, rephrasing that just because an action is self-serving doesn't mean that I cannot have, like, a Prasad Buddhi attitude.
Absolutely no. They are equally good. They are good flowers to offer in front of God. That is totally fine. But
that's exactly my question.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Flowers? And in fact, we should do that. We should do all. The day you can convert all actions into Karma Yoga, you will see a huge increase in your you see a lot of progress.
Thank you, Rajaji.
And one more point is, you need to have that control of the mind also in parallel. So parallelly practice the meditation. So your meditation and karma yoga together is the greatest tools and skills you need to have in the beginning stages of your spiritual practice. So Swami Sarvapriyananda was asked, I was asking him, like, what is the sequencing we should follow here? So his point was, do the karma yoga. This is a path, a middle path created by Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda's approach was, you do the karma yoga, you do a little bit of Raja yoga, and you do a little bit of bhakti yoga. So these together, and also read a little bit of scriptures, jnana yoga, even though it may not be in your direct experience, but these 4 yogas, you can initially, what happens is the karma yoga is predominantly is going to help you. Over a period of time, the karma yoga becomes your natural attitude. Upasana yoga is going to take a little bit more precedence there. And finally, the jnana yoga is going to take more precedence. And bhakti yoga is a kind of karma yoga. Bhakti yoga means I'm praying in front of God. And that prayer can be considered as a karma. And means what would be my attitude? I should not pray for anything tamasik. I should not pray that the other guy should die. Children used to say, right, when we were kids, the children used to pray the physics teacher should die, chemistry teacher, that should not be there. It's okay. As children, it's okay. What I'm saying is that we should not pray for anybody else's downfall. That is tamasic prayer. And then swatik prayer is fine. Rajasic prayer is perfectly okay. And swatik prayer should be there. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. That type of prayer. Sincere prayer. It's not that loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. No, you want to see that. And then your attitude should be Ishwararpana and Prasada Buddhi. So that's it. So we talked earlier also about the example. A child can ask a cookie from the mother. And it is up to the mother to decide whether to give the cookie or the dinner. Depending upon the need of the child, the mother will give. Depending upon the need of our need, Ishwara will give. One more question was there. Was it Radhika or somebody else?
Yeah, Rajesh. Just I wanted to clarify, like, I know that we are discussing about applying all the principles, whatever we talk about in the sattvic action is going to be, it's easy to start with. So the challenge is going to be actually because most of us are more involved in rajasic action, right? So just was wondering, probably whatever we discussed about the emotional intelligence plays a great role in making this happen in rajasic action.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because these are all connected. You'll see in the next few verses, Krishna is going to talk about emotional intelligence. Without having that emotional intelligence, you cannot put this into rajasic actions. So that's a skill you get when you do this in swatik karmas. You will see that your emotional intelligence is going up. Why the emotional intelligence is less now? It is because of this binding nature of the karma. Because you're prompted to think through a certain channel. And you're anxious, you're worried. And this swatik action, you will see that the purification of the mind happens. The purification of the mind means the pressure of the impressions on my mind becomes less. When that pressure becomes less, you will be able to control it. So that's exactly, you're right. I'm glad that the whole things, the dots are coming together. You will see in the next few chapters, all these things will come together and it will become very clear to you, the whole spiritual journey. Excellent point. Thanks for bringing out. That's great.
Thanks.
So let's chant. Anu, let's chant from 23, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27.
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः कर्मयोगः। न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्त एव च कर्मणि यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेय जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोकाः न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहम् संकरस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्यामि माः प्रजाः सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसः यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा सक्तः चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम् न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन् प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो गुणकर्मविभागयोः गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्ते इति मत्वा न सज्जते.
Excellent. So we saw Krishna talking about, we saw, right, like what should be the attitude of a karma yogi. He has to work hard. And then he said, even after the, means how long you need to practice this karma yoga till you reach the self-realization. Why? Once you get that self-realization, this karma yoga will be the natural response of that realized master. So what comes naturally to a master should be consciously followed by a yogi. That is the point we talked. And Krishna said, see, look at me. For example, I don't have anything to be achieved. I don't have any self-serving need. Everything I do is for loka sangraha, for the benefit of the humanity. Two reasons. I wanted to be an inspiring model for the whole world, because whatever a Shrestha Purusha, a leader does, the whole community follows that. And you may say that I'm not a leader. No, there are somebody who will be always looking up to you. So your words may not convince the message, but definitely your actions will convince the message. So at home, like the kid, your kid, actually they will be following more than what you say, what you do. And Krishna said, means if I don't perform my duties or actions, the whole universe will perish. We talked about the real meaning of that. And that action will continue, right? So Krishna is going to elaborate on that topic. So let's see. He said that it doesn't matter. Even a self-realized master will have to do the hard work. No way. So Anu, could you please chant the verse 25 once again?
सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसः यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा सक्तः चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्.
Okay, in very interesting words. The topic is how a realized master will be performing. A master will be performing the actions. So typically, when you take you and me, right? What do? Sakta, sakta means what? A normal human being. For example, me. I am attached to the result right now. I have binding desires. So when I have binding desires, I need to earn money. I need to earn my health. I need to earn my relationship. So for that, what do? I work hard. Not in the right way in the sense, not following the rules of karma yoga, but everybody, every human being, sakta karmanya avidvamsaha, a attached person, he works hard in the universe for name, fame, money, everything. He put a lot of effort. You could see people working 24/7. You could see a lot of effort. Just like that, a self-realized master also will work. So when you look at the work performed, you look at a karmi, you could see that, okay, he is working hard. You look at a karma yogi, you could see he is also working hard. What is the difference? So Krishna,
No binding desire.
yeah, that clarifies. Sakta karmanya avidvamsaha yada kurvanti bharata. The phrase used here is yatha tada. Yada tada means just like. An ignorant man or a person who is not understood this idea, he works hard in the world because of his attachment. So should be a vidwan. Kuryat vidwan tada asaktaha. The difference is the first category will work as sakta and attached. They will have binding desires. Whereas a karma yogi will work hard. How? Without that asakti, because of the Ishwararpana buddhi and prasada buddhi. A man of realization, he will not have any asakti. Asakti means binding attachment. Remember the second chapter, verse 53, Krishna started with that. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogadan atmani eva atmana tushtaha sthita prajnasya dochyate. That was the definition. A self-realized master will not have any binding attachment. So he also is going to perform the action just like a karmi, an unattached person works hard. He is also going to work hard. Whereas for a karmi, what is driving his work is his binding attachment. And for a karma, means for a realized master, what is driving him is loka sangraham. It is the welfare of the humanity and the world. You look at a Vivekananda, he worked more than a normal human being. Look at Shankaracharya. He traveled from, means the entire length and breadth of the country 2 times, walking. And he conducting how many speeches? And look at even the modern day, like some of the teachers, the real teachers, how much work they do. It's much more than a human being. So they will be working hard. The only difference is a karmi will be completely, his goal is his binding attachment, whereas a realized master, he is working for the entire humanity. So let us share the verse and understand the word by word meaning once again. So he tells, Sakta karmanya vidvamsaha avidvamsaha yatha kurvanti bharadaha kuryan vidwan tada sakta chikirshur loka sangraham. So he said, just like the unwise who are attached to the result, karmani saktaha asaktaha. So just like an unwise person whose main driver is the attachment, binding attachment, he performs the action. So too, tatha, a wise person, a vidwan, he also perform action. Kuryat means perform action without attachment, binding attachment. That is very important, binding attachment. So his desire of doing chikirshu means his interest there is loka sangraham. It is the welfare of the humanity or the universe. Got the difference? So a master like Krishna or Christ or Vivekananda, they also work hard. We also work hard. The difference is we drive for our agenda, self-service, and they drive for the loka sangraha. So whenever we study this verse, right, we should just make sure that where we stand. Where we stand. So right now we are in that karma yogi. We are in the beginning of the karma yoga. So just don't overdo it, right? So make sure that you follow the proper work rule and proper attitude rule, at least to a few actions. That is where the start is. Now, so having said that, this people who learn little bit Vedanta, they do more damage than the ignorant people. So when you start reading Vedanta a little bit, what do they do? So, okay, let's take me. So I read this Gita a little bit. I haven't reached there, but at least I have a little bit of understanding. When I look at one person, I see him working 24/7, and weekends he is doing some part-time work, full-time. For what? For self-serving. Naturally, what I will do after reading a little bit, I'll go and tell him what you're doing. You should not be doing this. And typically people will discourage other people. Another good anecdote. I have seen so many people after reading one book of Vedanta, they will start preaching. Don't go temple. Don't do puja. Don't do rituals. There are honest housewives whose only consolation is this puja. And these people will go and confuse such people. So now Krishna gives a warning to the students. Don't confuse other people. This is very important. So let's try to see that first. Okay, so Anu, could you please chant?
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
So this is very important. A good advice to the people who are started practicing Karma Yoga or the people who reach the end of Karma Yoga. So Krishna said, don't go and confuse people. If people are working at least for the result-oriented goal, that is much better than people sitting idle. Isn't it? Suppose money is the motivation for somebody to work. I've seen people, even they do not have that motivation. So that is a complete tamasic attitude. Inactivity. They are not interested in doing any action. That is worst. So Krishna is saying that even working for your self-serving activity with attachment is much better than sitting idle. Point number one. If everybody sit idle, what would be the nature of the world? Complete stagnation, correct? So what we are doing is nothing wrong. There is no sin we are doing. I think Rathika or somebody were asking me, right, during the second chapter. See, we have to go and work and earn the money and pay the mortgage, raise our children. How is that is going to align with the spiritual progress? Krishna is saying that what you are doing is right. So the advice here is a wise person should not go and tell a person who is doing karma for his self-serving activities. Of course, if he's doing tamasic karma, we can stop him, we can tell him, etc. But he is not at all known about karma yoga. He is not spiritual. He don't care about the higher goals of life. He's only worried about make money, invest money, spend money, enjoy money. As long as he's sticking to the laws of the land, as long as he's sticking to that dharma, that is not that bad. It is not bad at all. So don't go and confuse such people. Say that Ishwara Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, all that thing, and they will not do anything. That's not advisable. So here he tells very clearly, he tells, Nabuddhi Bhedam Janaye Ajnanam Karma Sanginaha. Don't confuse people, right? The Vidwan should not create any disturbance in the understanding of the ignorant people initially. Ajnanam Karma Sanginaha. The people who are attached to the results of the action, you don't go and create confusion initially. That is very important. That is the sentence number one. And the sentence number two is, how do you inspire them? The wise person or the karma yogi or the man of realization, he should work with pleasure, right? Joshayet sarva karmani. You have to perform the actions extremely well in such a way that by seeing the way you perform action, naturally that inspires them. So don't go and confuse people saying that, oh no, this is not the right way of performing action. You should, but that's exactly the reason why I told you, right? Initially, if you try to apply all these karma yoga principle into the self-serving actions like rajasic actions, it can throw you off completely. Right now, our focus is make sure that we are performing that action. Try to apply this only in the swatik actions. Otherwise, it can create confusion. It can bring you down. So continue to do what you do. Don't do the tamasic actions, and slowly, slowly try to inculcate this. Otherwise, it is going to be a complete breakdown. Makes sense, right? Because Krishna is so careful in applying this, because otherwise people will just out of the whole interest. It's like on January 1st, people decide, I'm going to be perfectly wellness freak. For how long?
2 months, right?
Yeah, 41 days maximum.
Yeah.
By that time, they give it up. So slowly, slowly, slowly do it. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult. So let's see the verse once again. These are not very complicated verses, just culmination of the thought we have been talking. So, Anu, could you please chant this once again?
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
So a wise person should not confuse people who are working for their desire-driven actions. Rather, he should encourage them to perform action while himself performing the action in the most intelligent manner. When people see the difference, because you see even the energy level, because the people who are addicted to this karma, means the results, you see, while the work is not a fun for them, you see that what you call the Monday syndromes, right? One day, what was the word? Forgot. Monday morning, you get some, that is one of the biggest
Monday
stress.
blues.
Yeah,
The
Monday
Monday
blues. Yeah,
blues.
exactly. So that will there, and you don't enjoy what you're doing. And after the work, you see, my God, I'm tired, fatigued, your energy level. We talked even during the emotional intelligence session today morning. The energy level is a factor. It is a brilliant output of your emotional intelligence. When you're emotionally intelligent, you will see that your energy level goes up, because the risk means anxiety and worry about the results is not there. So you can perform it well, and you will be, it's like engaging in a sport. And you don't need to go vacation to enjoy something, because everything you do becomes an enjoyment. So when people see such actions, naturally they will come to this step by step. So don't confuse people. That is very important. And I've seen this by myself. People say that, oh, that is not good. You are working. Why you are working? You are working hard for your selfish interest, and it creates confusion. It creates a low self-esteem. It creates a lot of problems. And mind you, what Krishna said is self-serving action is not bad. It's very important to know. You won't see this directly in any other scriptures of the world. Every other scriptures will tell you to work, do this, that, etc. Nobody can be a paropakari 24/7 when you live in this world. This is the most practical advice you can get in from any scriptures. First, you have to take care of yourself. First, you have to take care of your family. First, you have to take care of your health before you go and support other people. And there's nothing wrong in that, and it should be like that. You see the difference, what you're hearing in Gita versus typically what you hear in the spiritual preachers, by the spiritual preachers in all religion, not only Hinduism, but everywhere else you see that, okay. And when you listen to such sermons, I always wonder, is it practical? So that's why the state and secular whole division came in, right? So people work 7 days secular, 1 day they keep it for God. And after that Sunday, they leave the God at the church and go back to the other activities. This is what happens. And Hindus, since we don't have any designated time, we never go to God. So that is a pathetic state. And especially Hindus during the exam time or during their critical work time, I can see people running to temple, coming back, and then forgetting the God. So here, when you practice karma yoga, everything you do is spiritual. So there is no labeling of the actions, that certain actions, spiritual action means that you have to speak in a low tone, you have to use certain polished languages, you have to do this XYZ, you cannot watch movies, or you cannot have a fun. No, all that comes under the broad umbrella of the spirituality in this thing. Honestly speaking, I haven't seen any teaching, meaning this is not unique to us Hindus or anything like that. I'm not talking about anything sectarian, but this idea of spirituality is universal and it is the most practical spirituality. So now Krishna comes back and explains as one of the key Vedantic concept. So in karmas, why the confusion happens? I am the performer of the action and I am the enjoyer of the action. And that is why this kartrutva bhavana comes in, worries and anxiety comes in. So Krishna is going to do a little bit analysis. Who is the real doer and who is the real enjoyer of action? So let's hear the verse and then we will try to analyze that a little bit. So Anu, could you chant verse 27?
Prakrite kriyamaanani gunaih karmani sarvashah ahankara vimuthatma kartahamiti manyate.
It's a brilliant verse. This encapsulates the whole. This verse is very important. Means I'm not saying that this is one of the 10 verses you should remember, but very important verse. So Krishna tells the actions are performed in various ways. For example, what actions you pick up out of the different actions given to you, and how you perform the action because of the gunas of the nature. Nature means your body, your mind, and your senses. And then Krishna said in the second stanza, he tells, the ahankara vimuthatma, the person who is deluded by the I notion, he thinks that I am the performer. We need a little bit of analysis. So when you think about a jiva or an individual, remember in this chapter, means beginning, we talked about 3 things. One is jiva, the other one is your ahankara, and the third one is atma. So jiva we defined as a compound entity consisting of a physical body, a subtle body which contains your mind and sense organs, and your atma, which is the consciousness. So in this whole system, who are you? Really speaking, I am the consciousness, correct? That is what the whole Vedantic teaching is. Second chapter, we saw that I am the Atma. Whereas I have a subtle body, I have a physical body, there are gadgets given to me, there are tools given to me, I am going to use. Now, when you say that I like ice cream, and when you say that I don't like horror movies, who likes what? And now one more thing. When I like ice cream, I go and do it. I try to get it. So what prompts the desire for a particular action, and who is the enjoyer of that action, and who is the doer of that action. So let's take that example. I like ice cream. The Atma likes ice cream?
No.
Or my subtle body, the mind likes ice cream?
The subtle
Or my physical body likes ice cream? Think through that.
Physical body likes the ice cream.
The taste, physical body, subtle body, right? So the taste interpreted by the subtle body means, yeah, you can call it as physical body or subtle body. It doesn't matter. But the whole idea is your body likes ice cream. And who determines my body likes the ice cream? Remember, in your whole mind, we said, when the mind is becoming conscious, there will be one thought pattern, chitta vritti, loads first. I quoted the example of an operating system. When you boot a computer, the first program loads in your computer is operating system. So just like that, when my mind get booted, the first thought pattern loads in my mind is called ahamkara, the sense of individuality. And where exactly the ahankara belongs to? It's a part of the subtle body. It's a thought pattern. And then another thought pattern, an ice cream thought. So the ahankara, when it relates to another thought pattern, that is exactly what prompts me to act. And that is exactly what the enjoyer of the action. So Krishna tells here, Prakrite gunama, he tells, Prakrite kriyamanani. I perform all action because of the nature, right? Guna karmani sarvashaha. I perform all the action because of the gunas, because of the attributes of the prakriti, the nature. The nature means, so per our Indian wisdom, the whole jiva or the jiva consists of two major parts. This is a Sankhyan model. One is called Purusha and the other one is called Prakriti. Remember, we talked about Purusha in the 8th chapter. What is Purusha? That remains in the form of sleep, but because of who's present, everything happens. The example we used was electricity in an electrical equipment. The fan rotates. Why? Because of the presence of electricity. But the electricity stays there. The fan rotates. Without electricity, the fan do not rotate. So that which lies in the body, or that which gives the presence for the body to function, that is Purusha. Whereas the matter, what is the material objects, which is called Prakriti. So the physical matter and the subtle matter belongs to the Prakriti. So the physical body, the subtle body, including the mind, intellect, and ahankara, everything comes under the Prakriti. So Krishna tells here, Prakrite gunama, let's kriyamanani. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. So he tells all the karmas are prompted because of the attribute born out of the Prakriti. Prakriti means it could be your physical body, it could be your subtle body. And then he tells, ahankara vimuthatma. A person who thinks he is that ahankara or that sense of I-ness, he thinks that I am the karta. So that is what happens. So typically, all the actions are born out of my own chitta vrittis, and that is what is prompting all the actions. So he just wanted to make that point clear. It is not the Atma, but the Anatma that triggers various actions. My like for the ice cream. Why did I like ice cream? And why did I hate, say, jalebi? Because of my vasanas. That is what I acquired. So that vasana is stored in my chitta. That is going to determine what type of actions I do. In other words, if I correct my chitta, if I correct my inner equipments, my actions will change. It's not the consciousness in you is demanding for ice cream. It is your body that demands the ice cream, physical body and subtle body. So that topic is introduced, and he is going to elaborate that in the next verse. So you will be able to how to see objectively, right? That is the biggest goal. Yeah, I like ice cream. One thing you need to understand is why this discussion happened. Sometimes I feel to do certain things in certain ways. Best example, today morning, I wanted to do yoga, but my body tells me, let me sleep. So there will be always a conflict between what I need to do versus what I feel to do. What needs to be done versus what I feel to do. Krishna is saying that it is okay to feel certain ways. For example, I want to take a shortcut for the exam, but what I need to do is follow dharma. So when there is a conflict between my likes and dislikes versus dharma, you should have the ability to follow the dharma. So this is the whole topic he's driving us to. It's okay to have this feeling, that feeling, it's okay. But dharma should be the driver for my actions. And mind you, self-serving actions is not against dharma. So this is the topic we are getting into. This is a big topic. And from there, we will go to the next topic. So the Swadharma, all those topics will come. Very interesting topics. Okay, so we covered 3 verses. The first 2 verses is the conclusion of the previous verse. A jnani should not sit idle. He should work hard. How he should work? He should work just like a person who is attached to the result work. He also should work. The only difference is a person who is attached to the result, they work for that petty results, but a jnani works for the loka sangraha, for the benefit of everybody. So that was verse 25. And verse 26, Krishna said, a jnani or a person who is exposed to this teaching should not confuse people who are desire prompted and make them stop working, which is a disastrous thing. People should work. It is good that they at least work and slowly guide them. That's impossible. Means otherwise it will be a disastrous thing. And then he shifted to a next topic because he wanted to make us understand that what exactly in us prompts for certain type of actions. So if my action is not dharmic, I need to understand that my ahankara or my individual taste, which is not me, but something stored in my body, is prompting me to act other way. So I should develop that skill. So the first verse we talked, and we are going to see the next few verses in the next classes, which is going to make this topic very clear. And we'll have wonderful insights into emotional intelligence in the next few verses. Any other questions?
Rajesh, one question. Pancha Mahayajna, when we start, it should be done on a weekly basis, but ideally it has to be done daily, right? But because we are starting...
Right. No, I think weekly, I was talking from a practical perspective. Ideally, daily, but start means, because sometimes you may not be able to do Bhuta Yajna very daily. But on a week, just make sure that all the 5 is done. I was just giving a goal which is not difficult to achieve, because otherwise you may stop it. So Deva Yajna, meaning every day dedicate. How many hours we should pray?
5 minutes.
1 minute, even 1 minute of sincere prayer is good. 5 minutes is really good. That's all you need. Do you need to know Sanskrit to pray?
No.
Do you need to know complex stotras for praying?
No.
Open up your heart. Speak in whatever language.
No. Right.
Exactly. So that is the prayer we are talking. Not the like you chant the Vishnu Sahasranama, you see in movies, right? In some of the Malayalam movies, such beautiful picturizations are there. When you sit and pray, the whole household stuff is managed during that 1 hour of prayer. She will give instruction to do that. That's not the prayer.
Yes.
So the prayer, Then second thing is that Brahma Yajna. So at least we are doing that on a weekly basis, study and propagation of the scriptures, because without studying the scripture, you don't understand why I'm doing this, what I'm doing this, all those things. The scriptural study is very important. That is Brahma Yajna. Ideally, if you can, means that is why we said this 3 verses a week, right? Anu will record these 3 verses and send it to you. Listen to this and just read the meaning, and you should be contemplate upon the meaning and post any questions on these 3 verses. That will cover your Brahma Yajna. Bhuta Yajna, if you have a plant, you pick up one thing, right? If you have a plant, try to water the plant, or plant a new plant. Or if you have a pet, take care of the pet. Or when you go somewhere, just give a $1 donation for a pet. Whatever, I don't care what it is, but at least, or just have some more sunlight into your house. There are so many things you can do. Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, Pitru Yajna. Have 5 minutes with your family every day. Is that a difficult thing? Have one meal if possible, or consciously try to, because remember, the definition of relationship by Krishna is active and engaging. If you love somebody and do not express it, the way the scriptures tells is it's like packing a gift without giving it. In olden days, I used to hear, right? I love that person, but don't show that love. Is it good? Absolutely not. It's just because our forefathers did it, it is not good. You have to show the love. So show your love. Hug people, smile at people, and talk to people. It's very important. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, when the father comes to the house, the whole house becomes quiet. Is he a tiger or a father? That's what he used to ask. So important. So Pitru Yajna. Then what is left? Manushya Yajna. Manushya Yajna means talk to some friends, or means it could be even yearly, right? So you do sponsor a child, or you do some prayer, just every day pray for the whole somebody, right? Or talk to somebody. It's very easy. Manushya Yajna is very easy.
Or even volunteering, right?
Volunteering, everything.
Yeah.
If you have money, donate money. If you don't have money, just give your well wishes and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody without agenda, without judgment. Typically, you go and tell somebody your problem. What do they do? Immediately, before entering the first sentence, they start judging you. So don't judge anybody. Just listen to them. Try to give them some moral support. That itself was Manushya Yajna.
Thank you, Raj.
It's very hard to find because the people who associate with is very important. At least you should associate with some dharmic people, because that is going to reflect in our life. I learned this very because you could see pleasant surprises in your life. And let's say that if all of your friends are breaking laws without you knowing, okay, let me do this time, all these things are coming. So the people we associate, especially even kids also, right? The people who they associate, it is going to play a big role in their life, even our life. So satsanga is very important. Okay, great. Any other question? Okay, so Anu, could you please chant the Purnamada? But next week we will take 1 week break, and we will continue the week after that. I think we need only 5 more sessions to complete the Karma Yoga, and then we can take a pause and understand the Karma Yoga holistically one day, and then we can go to chapter 4.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः